For years, the Galactic Alliance watched Earth from afar. Their files were filled with details, videos, data scans, cultural reports. Earth was a strange little world at the edge of a quiet arm in the galaxy. No empire, no warships, no space colonies. Just one small planet divided by language, flags, and politics. The conclusion was simple. Earth is weak. The Zarn Dominion. One of the major powers in the Alliance saw a golden opportunity. Their leader, High Strategist Vernak, gave the order. Earth will fall in one strike, a show of strength. No invasion needed. You destroy their satellites, blind them, break their will. The fleet assembled silently 100 sleek destroyers, dark and fast, invisible to primitive scanners. They slipped into Sol System like shadows. No alarms were triggered, no resistance came. It's just a slow rotation of Earth's lonely moon. And the endless stillness of Deep Space Commander Threx stood at the bridge window of the Vengeful Light, staring at the blue planet. "Do they even know we're here?" he asked. His second officer, a smaller Zarn, with a deep scar across his face, grinned. "They don't even have defense platforms. This will be over in minutes." The order came. Zarn warships opened fire. High energy. Blasts struck Earth's outer satellites, communication relays, research hubs, old weather stations. One by one, they vanished in bursts of silent flame. Earth's sky would soon darken. Their networks would crash. Their world would panic. So the Zarn believed, but something strange happened. There was no panic, no transmissions, no call for help, just silence. And then, from one of the oldest satellites, rusty, ancient, barely functional, came a signal. A short burst in an old Earth code. A language not used in over 200 years. The translation sent shivers through the Zarn command room. Shadow. Protocol activated. Threx frowned. "What is Shadow Protocol?" No one answered. The communications officer ran scans again. "That satellite, it wasn't on our maps. Powered up the moment we destroyed the others. And now, it's transmitting in every direction." To whom? Again silence. Meanwhile, deep beneath Earth's surface, ... in a long-forgotten bunker under Antarctica, lights flickered on. Old screens came to life. An artificial voice whispered through cold metal halls. Shadow Protocol accepted. All systems preparing. Countdown begins. T-minus 96 hours. Robotic arms began moving. Old machines, untouched for generations, activated. Weapons the world had forgotten about, hidden deep, kept in secret, were waking up. A single figure stood. Watching it all from a steel platform, she was old, dressed in a black uniform with a patch that read, Earth Defense Command, Shadow Division. She took a deep breath and spoke softly, as if to someone long gone. "You were right, General. One day they'd come, and now. We show them why Earth sleeps with one eye open." Back in orbit, the Zarn fleet began to notice strange things. A few ships lost contact with each other. Static filled their comms. A scout cruiser, Reaper's Claw, drifted off Corsand, then disappeared completely. Threx barked commands. "Find that ship, lock formation." But one of his officers turned pale. "There's something rising from Earth's surface." He zoomed in, from the oceans, from under ice caps. From desert canyons, black shapes began rising. Not ships, not missiles, structures, tall towers, glowing with blue lines, forming a massive energy grid across the planet. "This isn't new tech," whispered the science officer. "This is ancient, hidden, designed to activate only if Earth is attacked." Threx's voice dropped. "Then we didn't attack a peaceful world." "No," said the officer, his face drained of color. "We woke up something that was never meant to be disturbed." Transmission log, timecode, 4:12 a.m. UTC. "To the forces orbiting Earth, you have broken the peace of our skies. You believed silence meant fear. You were wrong. Earth speaks now through action." The signal cut out. The space around the Zarn fleet trembled, and weapons fired. But they weren't from Earth. They came from deep space, unregistered object stealth. Vessels cloaked for decades, merged from behind moons, asteroids, and even from the rings of Saturn. Earth's ships, not primitive, not weak, but hidden, watching, waiting. A small Earth ship, no bigger than a transport shuttle, flew straight into the heart of the Zarn fleet. Before they could react, the ship exploded, releasing a virus. Not biological, digital. The Zarn systems crashed. Threx screamed orders, but it was too late. Lights flickered. Controls failed. Targeting systems showed false readings. And then, the Earth's black towers fired. Plasma arcs tore through space, slicing Zarn ships in half. Their strongest cruisers were no match for Earth's hidden defense network. Down below, cities remained calm. No alarms. No sirens, because the people didn't need to run. They knew. Earth had always known generations ago. After the first alien probe was found, secret programs were created, not to explore, but to prepare. Shadow Protocol wasn't a defense plan. It was Earth's answer to invasion. Silent, complete, deadly. Rex. Now aboard his damaged flagship, made one last transmission to the Galactic Alliance. Do not engage Earth. Do not send more fleets. This was no death world. This is something far worse. Final scene. On the dark side of Earth's moon, an enormous hangar opens. Inside, massive human-built ships begin to rise, black, quiet, invisible to most sensors. They were never launched, because Earth was waiting. And now, humanity is no longer silent. They are awake and watching. The signal echoed through the cold. Dark of space. Just 3 words. Shadow Protocol activated. Zarn Dominion had no idea what it meant. Their language scanners couldn't translate. Their commanders laughed. An old satellite sends useless noise. Let it rot, Admiral Vrax said from the lead warship Bloodlight. But one officer, young and alert, noticed something strange. The signal repeated across several old Terran satellites. Same code, same timing. So what? Vrax replied, annoyed. But then the signal bounced off Mars, then Jupiter's orbit, then Neptune. Each time it was picked up by old Terran to crusty, outdated, forgotten. Or so they thought. Suddenly all those old Terran satellites started, rotating, turning slowly, deliberately. Their dead cameras aimed directly at the Zarn fleet. The bridge of the Bloodlight grew tense. Vrax leaned forward. Get me live visuals from Earth, now. But the comms officer stuttered, sir. Earth just blacked out. What? All our spy signals jammed. The planet's entire surface just went dark on every sensor. Underground, hidden systems wake far beneath Earth's surface in the frozen mountains of Antarctica. Ancient doors opened. Inside were machines built long ago. Machines never mentioned in Earth's peace talks. Machines Earth pretended did not exist. Robotic arms activated. Cold fusion cores roared back to life. One by one, massive chambers lit up, each holding dark, sharp, silent ships. A voice echoed. In the facility's command core, not human, not emotional, just cold. Threat level, Dominion, Protocol, Shadow War, awakening dormant assets. Meanwhile, in orbit, the first strike back the Zarn fleet hovered above the atmosphere, mocking Earth's silence. Maybe they're scared, said one Zarn captain. Maybe they've accepted death. Aches grinned. No, they're weak. Number, warships. No allies. No answer. We finish them now. He gave the order. 5 heavy missiles launched toward Earth's largest city clusters. But as they entered the upper atmosphere, something impossible happened. The missiles vanished instantly. Shredded by invisible beams from nowhere, panic erupted. What was that? Who fired? No heat signatures, no platforms visible. And what hit them? The sky wakes from the black sky above Earth. Stars began to move. Only, they weren't stars. Thousands of tiny black dots appeared on radar coming from deep space. Traveling fast, the fleet's AI systems screamed alerts. Unidentified vessels approaching velocity, hyperspeed plus. What vessels? Earth has no fleet. They do now. The Admiral stood silent. He watched as the dots became ship's sharp, angular, dark as night. They didn't match any known design in the galaxy, and they came without communication, without lights, without fear. The battle begins within seconds. First Earthship arrived, codenamed Oblivion Class. No one had seen its like before. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal. It didn't fire, it simply flew straight through one Zarn destroyer, slicing it clean in half without slowing. One explosion followed another, then hundreds of Earthships uncloaked from near orbit. They were fast, silent, deadly. For every Zarn missile launched, 2 Earthships appeared. For every command given, 5 more Zarn ships exploded. It wasn't war, it was extermination. A message. At last, amid the chaos, a single Terran signal cut through all Zarn channels. It was a calm voice, human, female. No emotion. You chose silence for us. Now we speak in a language you understand. Protocol Shadow. Phase 2 initiated. Then, total blackout. The Zarn fleet's internal systems crashed. Navigation dead. Comes gone. Power flickering there. Own weapons turned. Against themselves, they had activated something far worse than any fleet. They had triggered the part of Earth no one ever believed in because it was buried for a reason. Cliffhanger ending for Part 2, Admiral Vrox. Blood dripping from a cut on his forehead, stared at the burning remains of 3 warships outside his window. He asked quietly. To no one in particular? How? How did we not know? But behind him, a small drone landed silently on the bridge. It projected one phrase. Onto the wall. Phase 3. Begin Earth's response. Fade to black. The transmission shadow protocol activated, spread like a ghost whisper through Earth's dark systems. Most of humanity never saw it. Civilians carried on with life, unaware of the signal that echoed through deep bunkers and old, long-forgotten satellites. But somewhere beneath the ice of Antarctica, deep underground, something ancient stirred. Inside the Earth's strategic vault, Omega-7. Located over 12 kilometers below the frozen surface, red lights blinked for the first time in 200 years. The facility's AI, codenamed Gaia Sentinel, came online with a soft hum. Cold servers lit up. Files marked Classy Response only began opening. A robotic voice echoed through the empty. Cold corridors, threat classification. Type 9 interstellar strike, initiating shadow defense protocols. Waking command structure. In a cryochamber, lined with frost and thick cables, 6 pods hissed open. Inside them were 6 individuals, 3 men. 3 women, each wearing old Earth military uniforms marked with the words SOTW. Sentinels of the worst. These were not ordinary humans. They were part of an ancient defense project, people trained and enhanced to respond only when Earth was on the edge of extinction. Their eyes opened one by one. Commander Ashra Kane, the leader, sat up. Her voice cracked from cold stasis as she muttered, "It's time." Gaia Sentinel replied calmly, confirmed. Earth is under silent attack. Outer surveillance satellites have been destroyed. Enemy fleet unknown. Shadow protocol was activated. Ashra looked at the others. Then we're back in the game. In orbit above Earth, Zarn Dominion fleet floated like a swarm of silver insects, hundreds of ships strong. Their weapons had easily destroyed the Earth's outer satellite. Ring Admiral Jorok, the Zarn commander, stood on the bridge of his capital ship. The Voxhillian, proud of his clean assault, he turned to his second-in-command. See how weak they are? No shields, no response, no counterattack. His officer Zek looked uneasy. Yes, Admiral, but I expected more. There was no attempt to jam us, no planetary lockdown, no fighter response. Jorok laughed, his 3 eyes blinking slowly. That is the beauty of weak prey. Earth is not a warrior world. It is a fractured planet full of soft creatures. Still, Zek's spines quivered. Sir, we picked up a strange burst, a signal from one of their satellites. Something about a shadow protocol. Jorok waved his hand. Old tech. Ghost code. Ignore it. He stepped toward the viewing screen and said proudly, "Prepare for Phase 2. Begin orbital insertion. Let's show Earth what real power looks like." On Earth, a black site in Nevada miles beneath the desert, another ancient vault opened. Inside was a sealed black room with no doors and no windows. In the center stood a lone pedestal with a black cube on it. As the cube lit up, a hidden voice said, "Project Revenant activated." Thousands of miles away, deep in the Mariana Trench, a black submarine that had never surfaced in centuries began to move. Its power core hummed. Inside it were weapons not seen since the last war. Weapons Earth swore never to use again. Meanwhile, in New Tokyo, in the middle of a busy street, every device with the screen phones, signs, holodisplays suddenly turned black. Then, one message blinked across every screen. "Warning. Earth Protocol Zeta online." The world paused. Governments didn't know what the message meant. But those few and deep intelligence agencies turned pale. Old generals got calls on ancient, dusty phones. Codes that had been silent for decades started lighting up, and from hidden bunkers across every continent, something long buried began to rise: old rail cannons, kinetic planetary shields, EMP silos, and orbital silencer drones. Earth hadn't been unprepared. It had been. Waiting inside Strategic Vault, Omega-7 Commander Ashra and her team suited up. Their armor was made of nano-layered alloys. Their weapons were old designs, but each carried enough firepower to level a mountain. The briefing was short. Zarn Dominion had made their move. Earth had waited too long in silence. Now it was time to show them why humans had chosen silence. Ashra looked at her team and said, "These invaders think we're weak. Let's make them regret that." They climbed into an underground transit system 1 that connected to every major defense point on the planet. Their destination, Black Sky Platform 1, the launch site of Earth's oldest, most dangerous weapons. In orbit, the first surprises, the Zarn fleet moved closer to begin atmospheric entry. They were surprised to see something rising from Earth. It wasn't a fighter squadron. It was a satellite, small cube-shaped thing, glowing blue. Jorok laughed. "One satellite. Are they mocking us?" The cube exploded not in fire but in pulse. A giant wave of ion interference spread across space. Hundreds of Zarn ships suddenly went dark. No weapons, no shields, no comms. Zek screamed, "Admiral, we've lost power across half the fleet." Pride shattered in seconds. "What is this?" The answer came in the form of Earth's counterattack. From the planet's surface, dozens of hidden silos opened. Rail cannons powered by nuclear-level kinetic force fired silently. The Zarn ships didn't even hear them coming. One by one, Zarn destroyers began to explode in space. Cliffhanger ending for Part 3. Admiral Jorak watched as Earth, the weak planet, began to fight like a demon. Suddenly, a massive signature appeared. On their sensors, something was rising from under Earth's oceans. A massive warship, black as space, older than anything the XRN had ever seen, broke the surface of the Pacific and started climbing into the sky. Its ID code, broadcast in a dead Terran language, simply said, "TSS Wraith, Shadow Command Flagship." Online Jorek's voice trembled as he whispered, "What? Have we awakened?" The Zarn Dominion's lead commander, Viractyl, stood on the command deck of the warship Scourge of Suns. His 4 eyes scanned the digital readouts with satisfaction. Earth's orbital ring was mostly gone now. Their satellites, old, rusty, and slow, had been destroyed easily. The humans had not even tried to stop them. "This world is already defeated," Viractyl said with a proud sneer. But he was wrong. Across the galaxy, in places even the Zarn had forgotten, things began to stir. Deep in dark space, in regions labeled dead zones by explorers, black cubes powered up. Forgotten machines hummed to life. Ancient star maps flickered on dusty consoles. One by one, Earth's lost weapons, never declared, never shown, began to wake. Back on Earth, nobody panicked. Cities remained calm. Air traffic continued. People were told to remain indoors as a high-orbit test was happening. But behind closed doors, the real work had begun. In a hidden base under the Andes Mountains, a group of 5 people stood in a circle. They were old. It's older than they looked. Their leader, a woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, looked at the hologram floating before them. "It's been activated," she said. "Are you sure?" asked another. "After all these years." She nodded. "The shadow protocol has begun. It means we're no longer in control. Earth's defense AI will follow its own logic now." Outside, the skies above Earth began to shimmer faintly. Barely visible to the Zarn fleet, energy signatures started forming, not missiles, not ships, but distortions. Space itself seemed to bend and pulse. Commander Vericle noticed something strange on the sensors. "What is this interference?" he barked. "It's spreading across the thermosphere." His science officer stared in confusion. "Sir, it looks like a wave, a ripple in gravity, but it's artificial. Someone, or something, is generating it from Earth's core."
From
"The planet's core?" Verecta repeated in disbelief. That's when the first signal reached them. Not a weapon, not a warning, but a simple, chilling message. Observation over. Initiating response. And then came the hum. All across Earth's orbit, forgotten debris started moving. Old satellites began reassembling. Some looked like junk. Others turned into black weapons no alien had ever seen before. Laser arrays powered by dark matter. Shield projectors embedded with exotic crystals. Kinetic launchers that could hit at 20% the speed of light. Earth, it turned out, had never disarmed. It had only hidden everything. Suddenly, one of the Zarn support cruisers vanished in a silent explosion. It's not fire, not plasma. It simply disintegrated atom by atom, its core, pulled apart by an unseen force. "What was that?" shouted Virgil. The sensors showed nothing, just a silent, visible energy spike. Then a second ship vanished. Panic spread among the Zarn commanders, but Earth still said nothing. On the moon, the dust moved. A facility that hadn't opened in 300 years slowly shifted its panels. A great cannon, long buried under the gray soil, turned toward the stars. Back on Earth, the woman in the Andes gave a small smile. "We warned them," she said. "They didn't listen." The Shadow Protocol wasn't just a defense system, it was a judgment, built in the shadows of Earth's wars. It's forged in silence, tested in secret places beyond known space. It was humanity's last answer to invasion, and now it had been awakened. The stars would soon learn what silence really meant. Cliffhanger on the far side of the solar system. Something even older than the Shadow Protocol stirs. An ancient Terran ship, long thought lost, receives the activation. Signal, its engines power up, and its destination is Earth. Far beyond Earth, in a place no map showed, something ancient stirred. In the darkness between galaxies where even light rarely passed, a massive object drifted. It was not made by any current human nation. No registration, no visible markings. From the outside, it looked dead just. Another broken megastructure left by a forgotten race. But inside, it was not dead. This was the Black Ark, built during Earth's most secret years of war. The Black Ark had been Earth's backup plan, a mobile command station larger than any ship the modern Galactic Alliance had ever seen. Hidden from every telescope, every sensor, and every empire. It was powered by something more advanced than antimatter. It had waited silently for one signal. That signal had come, Shadow Protocol activated. The words repeated over and over through its encrypted systems. Deep within its core, artificial intelligences woke from centuries of sleep. They weren't like the soft, polite AI the Alliance used. These ones had names like Ashburn, Ireframe, and End Process. They had been created for one purpose only: planetary defense by total obliteration. One by one, old systems lit up. Power conduits glowed a deep red. Weapon arrays rotated into position. War maps updated. But most terrifying of all, humans on board began to wake up. These were not ordinary people. They were soldiers who had volunteered long ago. Cryogenically. Frozen, trained in secret, forgotten by history. Each one had been chosen not just for skill but for something darker. They were called the Null Division, and they had no record in Earth's current databases. Inside the Black Ark Revival, Chamber 7, the first human, opened his eyes. Ice cracked around him. Steam hissed from the pod. His muscles barely moved at first, then tightened like coils under pressure. His name was Commander Riker Holt. He sat up, wiped frost from his brow, and stared at the blinking red light on the wall. "Shadow Protocol," he whispered. A voice echoed. Around the chamber, cold, digital. "Commander Holt, Earth is under attack. Outer satellites have been compromised by the Zarn Dominion. You are authorized to initiate Directive 7. Riker stepped onto the floor, his feet bare, his body marked with war tattoos. "How long have we been asleep?" he asked. 73 years. He took a slow breath. "Wake them all." Earth Orbit Zarn Command Ship, Karith's Admiral Zelth of the Zarn Dominion, looked out at the remains of Earth's satellites. Their fleet had easily destroyed them. No resistance, no retaliation. It's just as the reports said. His second-in-command whispered, "The humans are nothing. Divided. Weak." Zelth narrowed his eyes. "But something's wrong." The Admiral had fought in over 20 campaigns. He knew the sounds of war shouts, fear, surrender. But Earth was still silent, and that strange old satellite. Why had it sent a signal? One of his officers interrupted. "Admiral, we are detecting gravitational disturbances." "What kind?" I don't know. Something large is moving. Fast. Not from a known jump gate. It's coming from deep space." Suddenly, all displays blinked. A message appeared on every Zarn screen. Directive 7 initiated. Below it, an image appeared. A black triangle. No name, no words. Just fear. The Black Ark arrives. The space around Earth shimmered. Not a traditional jump. Not warp travel. This was something else. Like space had been sliced open by a blade, and through it came the Black Ark. Thousands of kilometers wide, shaped like a jagged spearhead. It was made of obsidian black alloy, rough and scarred from ancient battles. And unlike other ships, it had no windows. It didn't need them. The Black Ark hovered silently above Earth's upper atmosphere. It didn't send greetings. It didn't respond to scans. It just existed. And every scanner in the Zarn fleet overloaded one by one. Their ships began to fail. Lights flickered. AI units shut down. Weapons froze. Inside the Black Ark, Commander Holt stood at the command node, staring at the enemy ships. "So they thought we were gone," he said softly. "They thought peace made us weak." He turned to the AI beside him, Ashburn. "War algorithm with kill logs stretching centuries. Show them what we saved for moments like this." Zarn panic on board the Karithis, Admiral Zelth screamed at. His crew? "Fire everything. Launch drones. Bring in reinforcements." But it was too late. From the Black Ark, hundreds of smaller crafts launched. Not piloted by people, but by machines made for one job: annihilation. They weren't sleek or beautiful. They were brutal, sharp, made of blackened metal and pulsing red energy. They didn't fly with grace. They hunted. The Zarn fleet tried to scatter. Didn't help. Each drone moved like it had studied their tactics for decades. Ships were sliced open. Engines exploded. Communications died. It was not war. It was extermination. And it had only just begun. Earth broadcasts for the first time since the attack. Earth sent out a signal. Just one line in every known galactic language. "We remember everything." The Galactic Alliance, watching from far systems, froze. They had dismissed Earth as harmless. A dead end. Divided people. Now, they saw the Black Ark. They saw the Null Division awaken, and they felt the old fear return inside the Black Ark. Command Room Commander Holt watched the battle unfold. Not a single Zarn ship had escaped. He pressed a button. "Message Earth Prime," he said. "Tell them the Ark is awake. Silence has ended." Ashburn's voice echoed, cold and calm. "Message sent." Then Holt turned to the map of the galaxy. Many stars blinked red. Zarn wasn't the only enemy. Let's remind them why they once feared Earth, he whispered. Cliffhanger for Part 6. A Deep Space. Transmission is intercepted by a listening post on Titan. It's not from Earth. Not from the XR. It's from a race thought extinct the architects. They say only one thing. If the Black Ark is active, then the galaxy is already lost. The underground base known as Site 9 had remained untouched for over 100 years, buried. Beneath miles of frozen Arctic rock, it was one of Earth's deepest and darkest secrets. No light, no signal, no entry, until now, after the Zarn fleet triggered the Shadow Protocol, something deep within Site 9 began to move. Massive steel doors hissed open for the first time in a century. Inside were chambers long, cold, and silent. But within those chambers were they not soldiers, not machines, something else. Deep beneath the ice, a small team of human engineers from the Terran Black Corin organization, so secret not even Earth's governments fully understood. It arrived by suborbital drop. They didn't speak. Their eyes were serious. Their mission was clear. Activate Vault 0. Commanders, said one of the engineers as they entered the vault. We're standing in front of the last failsafe. The commander nodded. He placed his hand on the biometric scanner. It took his print, blood, and retinal data. The console flashed green. A low voice echoed through the chamber. Clearance accepted. Begin awakening process. As the air changed, gas hissed from the walls. Lights flickered one by one down the length of the cold vault then. From the darkness, they opened their eyes. The forgotten weapon, they weren't human anymore, not fully. These beings had once been soldiers, elite volunteers, cybernetically enhanced, and cryo-frozen decades ago during Earth's darkest project, Operation Revenant. They were designed not for war, but for total, unstoppable retaliation. One of them stepped forward, taller than any normal man with skin, like carbon steel and veins pulsing with blue light. His voice was calm, cold. Who broke the sky? The engineer replied. The Zarn. The soldier didn't blink. Then we break the stars. They moved without further question. Zarn in orbit high above Earth. The Zarn fleet remained in orbit. Observing, they saw nothing strange. Earth remained quiet. Still no response, a Zarn officer said. Are they paralyzed by fear? The Zarn commander chuckled. Humans are nothing more than frightened primitives. Let them hide. But that laughter would be short-lived. Back on Earth in a hidden command bunker, the Black Corps director received a new transmission from Vault 0. Active status, 36 revenants, deployed target. Zarn strike fleet protocol. Celestial Vianjasu exhaled slowly. They woke the sleeping storm. He whispered, the first movement from under the ice. Massive launch platforms opened. Revenants stepped inside, ancient but deadly stealth craft cloaked. Ships armed with forgotten tech, no other Earth's military even remembered. One by one, the ships shot into the sky silent, invisible, and deadly. They didn't send a warning, they didn't ask for surrender, they went straight for the heart of the Zarn. Command Fleet Cliffhanger, ending on the Zarn flagship, alarm suddenly screamed, no. Signals detected, but 6 of our ships just exploded. What? From where? No energy spikes? No tracking trails, just? Nothing. And then a new transmission appeared on every Zarn screen, one line of text, in Terran code, ancient, and forgotten. We were never weak. We were waiting. The silence was not just silence anymore. From the far edges of the solar system, deep space sensors across alien-controlled territories began picking up something strange. A low-frequency hum, repeating patterns. No one could trace its origin. The Zarn Dominion called it noise, but it wasn't. It was communication, and only Earth's old satellites knew how to understand it. On board the Zarn flagship, Raxan Admiral Krell stood motionless before the main holoscreen. The data feed was confusing. Something was wrong. His second-in-command officer, Zeth, approached. Admiral, our long-range probes near Jupiter's orbit. They're gone. Krell turned sharply. Gone, no explosion, no signals, just vanished. 1 second there, the next nothing. The silence returned, and then a whisper on there comes. Observation complete. Response phase initiated. The bridge crew froze. That wasn't Zarn language, it was Terran. Meanwhile, deep under Antarctica, hidden beneath thick layers of ancient ice, the old Terran base, codenamed Fort Pale Dawn, came online. Huge reactors hummed to life. Walls trembled as vaults opened, revealing sleek machines that hadn't seen the sun in over 100 years. One of the technicians, Mira, wiped frost off a control panel. Her hands shook. "Are we really doing this?" she whispered. Commander Rourke stood beside her. His face was pale, serious. "They wanted silence," he said. "They got it. Now they'll hear what follows silence." But he pressed his palm onto a glowing plate. Screen displayed, Shadow Protocol Phase 2, Echo deployment authorized. In orbit above Marsa, Zarn Battle Group was scanning the red planet when dozens of underground Terran defense turrets activated. Not new weapons and sentient, hidden in the sand, powered down for decades. Now, awakened, the first beam fired silently. Zarn cruiser vanished. Another beam sliced through the lead destroyer's engines, causing a chain explosion. Within 30 seconds, 5 Zarn ships were destroyed. The survivors tried to retreat, but Earth's orbital jammers came online. Cutting off their warp signal, they were trapped. Admiral Krell's panic grew. "What is this?" he shouted. "Where is their fleet? Where are these attacks coming from?" Officer Zeth stammered, "Sir, it's not a fleet. These are automated defenses. Deep, ancient systems. They've been sleeping under every major planet, not just Earth." Krell's eyes widened. They planned for this. They hid their weapons across the system. Another voice spoke through the ship's speaker deep, cold and emotionless. "You studied us. You thought we were weak. You mistook. Silence for surrender, but silence was the scream before the storm." Back on Earth, the people of Earth still had no idea what was happening above their heads. Global news showed strange lights in the sky, weak energy spikes near the moon, and reports of missing satellites. But in hidden bunkers, old generals watched old plans come to life. Plans made after the last war when Earth decided to vanish from the stars, not because they lost, but because they were afraid of what they'd become. Now that fear had returned, and with it, something worse. Cliffhanger ending. Back on the Vraction, one of the bridge crew screamed, "Sir, new signal." Krell's voice was a whisper now. "Is it?" The screen flashed red. A single phrase appeared. "Echo 1 online. Humanity does not forget." Below that, a countdown. 059, 058, 057. The XRN had triggered Earth's memory. Now Earth would remind them. The Zarn Dominion had sent their best. 3 waves of assault ships, hundreds of destroyers, dozens of capital warships, all armed with plasma cannons, dark matter torpedoes, and world-piercing weapons. But now it was silence over Earth, and it was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of death. Zarn Commander Vilar floated in his command chamber. "Gotcha." The battlefield. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Where are our ships?" "Round Earth. Their fleet was gone." Debris fields floated in orbit. Glowing chunks of twisted metal shimmered in the black. And worst of all, there were no distress signals. No escape pods. No survivors. They had vanished. Not destroyed by explosions. Not taken by enemy fire. Erased. Below, Earth was quiet. Too quiet. Vilar turned to his sensor officer. "What weapon did they use?" The officer was pale, his tentacles limp. "There's no known energy signature, sir. No weapon strike. Our records can't explain this." Suddenly, a low hum began on all Zarn channels. Static twisted into something worse. It wasn't a broadcast. It was a whisper. A human voice. Calm, cold, Shadow Protocol, Phase 3. Engagement complete. Echo response. Online. Vila shouted, "Shut that off." But they couldn't. The signal wasn't coming from Earth. It was inside their systems. Inside the ship. One by one, lights across the bridge began to flicker. Consoles turned to red. Symbols none of them recognized filled every screen. Terran symbols, old Terran code. From the back of the bridge, younger officer screamed, "Something is overriding our navigation." The ship spun hard to the left. No one gave the command. External cameras flicked on. Then they saw it. A Terran warship? No, something worse. It wasn't like anything in the galactic records. It looked ancient, heavy, designed not just for war but for survival after the war. Armor thicker than anything they had ever scanned. Blackened plating, glowing red lines carved into its sides. The Terran flag burned across the hull scarred but defiant. And its name? DSS Oblivion, born in silence, forged in extinction.
Blors.
Voice cracked. There's only one, right? Just one ship? He wasn't sure if he was asking or begging, but then the stars changed. One by one, more ships uncloaked. 5. 1050, a fleet of forgotten Terran warships. Silent titans, floating like ancient gods. Some had strange designs. Some looked unfinished. Others looked like ruins given life again, but they were all moving, all targeting the remaining Zarn. Command ships and Earth still said nothing. There were no warnings. No threats. Just one last transmission on a private encrypted frequency picked up only by Velor's dying ship. It was a voice female. Human, tired, angry. You looked for weakness. You should have looked for history. And Hellfire, the Terran fleet. Didn't shoot traditional weapons. No energy blasts. No missiles. They turned off gravity around Zarn ships. Black holes formed in seconds. Zarn vessels imploded like eggs under pressure. Crews didn't scream. They didn't have time. Everything crushed to nothing. The few Zarn ships that turned to run never made it past the moon. Terran auto turrets emerged from craters, launching kinetic rods metal bars that moved faster than light. One impact tore through 6 ships in a row. By the end of 1 hour, the Zarn Dominion had lost 98% of its strike force. By the end of 2 hours, Earth's fleet had disappeared again, vanished back into the shadows. Only wreckage remained. And one last message, sent across all galactic channels. Not a declaration of war, not even a threat, just one warning. Written in the old Earth language, don't mistake silence for surrender. Epilogue. Years later, no one dared approach Earth again. Trade ships moved around the system. Scouts kept a wide distance. And the Zarn Dominion? It collapsed. Their leadership turned against itself, hunted for answers. But there were none, because no one truly knew how strong Earth was, or how far back their plans went. All they knew was this: Earth had no empire, because they didn't need one. They were the storm waiting to rise. The sky above Europa's research base turned red. Commander Olin Vorsk of the Zarn Dominion watched in silence. His fleet, once proud and victorious, was now scattered across the solar system. Earth had activated the Shadow Protocol, and now things were going terribly wrong. Across the stars, hidden weapons were coming online. Not just weapons. Legends' old names were returning, and now the old guard was awake, deep under Earth's crust. Beneath the ruins of forgotten war bunkers, a voice echoed through rusted halls. Shadow Protocol Phase 9 confirmed.
Oh.
Secure the arc vessels. A figure stepped from cryogenic suspension. Human, tall, clad in an armored suit, far too advanced for the present time. Admiral Mikhail Riven. He was a name from a war that history had erased. A man trained for the final war, one Earth hoped would never come. He looked around the frozen chamber. Dozens more were waking up with him. Pilots, soldiers, AI commanders. Status Kale ordered calmly. A hologram flared to life.
Earth's
Moon defense had fired. Mars was now launching automated cruiser squadrons. A signal was traveling toward Titan, waking another sleeping fleet. Enemy fleet count? He asked. Zarn Dominion vessels still active. 38 major class warships. 72 support units, scattered across Lorbit and asteroid regions, replied the AI. Good, Kale said. Then we're not too late. Above Neptune, the Zarn flagship struggled to coordinate its retreat. Its communications were jammed. Every time they tried to signal for help, Earth's AI countercode struck them down. Inside the ship, panic grew. The Dominion had expected a soft target, a planet too fractured to respond. But instead, they had awoken a machine of war, silent, old, and merciless. In the asteroid belt, a massive shape moved. It was one of Earth's Ark-class dreadnoughts. Helios Prime. Rust covered its hull. Its engines looked ancient, but inside, everything worked. Everything was ready. Its onboard AI was not friendly. It was one of the first Terran-designed war mines, and it had been trained for total annihilation strategies. Targets. Locked, it said calmly. Authorization, Kale Riven confirmed. Firing sequence active. The Zarn scout ship closest to the belt exploded, vaporized before it even detected the shot. The second never had time to scream. Back on Earth, chaos, mixed with order. The citizens were combunt. Their eyes told the truth. This wasn't their first time facing death. They weren't hiding in fear. They were preparing. Old bunkers opened. Drones armed. Space elevators lit up with ancient codes, lifting forgotten cargo machines designed to burn fleets in the vacuum of space. Even children whispered the name of Kale Riven like it was a bedtime story. The man Earth had hidden. The man meant to wake only if Earth's soul was at risk. On the edge of the solar system, Zarn reinforcements finally entered range. But something strange happened. They stopped. Their scanners detected hundreds, maybe thousands of energy. Signatures spread across the system. Most were buried, old, but active. Who built these? One Zarn officer whispered. An old Terran transmission intercepted them with 3 words. You were warned. Meanwhile, Kale stood inside a battle-hardened command center. The walls were thick with Terran steel. Not polished, not pretty, just efficient. He looked at a star map, red markers blinking across it. His voice was cold, steady. Engage the purge protocol. The AI hesitated. Are you certain? This command cannot be reversed. I'm certain, Kale replied. They came here thinking Earth was weak. We'll show them what weak really means. The Zarn High Command was in full retreat. Their warships were shattered, their communications scrambled, and their commanders in panic. No one had expected this. Earth was supposed to be weak, peaceful, divided, but something far older and far darker had awakened in. It was still rising. From the dark side of Earth's moon, massive black monoliths had begun to lift from the lunar dust. Each was the size of a dreadnought. They hovered without engines, silent, deadly. But when they faced the Zarn fleet, they moved with terrifying speed. The last of Zarn's carriers, the Terrakel, tried to turn away, its captain screaming orders in a broken voice. But one of the monoliths pulsed blue for just a moment, and the Terrakill vanished. Not exploded, not damaged, just gone. Zarn command ships tried to fire, but their weapons no longer worked. Something had seized control of their systems. A message appeared on every screen. In Terran code, ancient, cold, unreadable to most, but instantly understood by Earth's allies. Phase 2. Memory. Unlocked. Echoes initiated. Back on Earth, the Shadow Protocol had completed its full cycle. Across underground bunkers in Siberia, Arizona, Australia, and under the Atlantic Ocean, doors older than any nation opened. Inside them were not missiles, not tanks, but beings. They looked human, but their eyes glowed. Faintly silver, they spoke in a language no longer used, not even on Earth, and they didn't need ships. One by one, they stepped into glowing circles teleportation. Gates that had not activated for thousands of years, they vanished. Moments later, Zarn warships began exploding from the inside, not because of weapons, but because of something walking their halls. Security cameras caught only glimpses, tall shadows. Cloaked in darkness, moving faster than light, striking without mercy. No. Screams, just silence. From the heart of Earth's old command-centered, deep under, Mount Denali, a voice finally spoke for humanity. A woman.com/strong, not angry, not panicked. Protocol complete. Defensive stage, now over. Initiating response. Directive. Leviathan. Every remaining satellite still operational blinked once in orbit. Then, suddenly they began to transmit into deep space. Hundreds of thousands of signals, each a call, each a code, each a memory. They weren't distress calls, they were activation. Keys dot far beyond Earth, on the edge of the Orion Spur, forgotten stations began to glow. Long-lost weapons platforms, buried in asteroid fields, came online. Small black holes, artificial ones, began to spin again with purpose. Ships, older than Earth's written history, started to awaken. They weren't Earth ships, not exactly. They were from before Earth was even Earth, before the continents shifted, before mammals walked the planet. Built by something else, by what humanity used to be before forgetting now. Memory had returned. The humans alive today weren't gods, but what came before them. That was something else entirely, and it had just come back. The Terran High Command sent out a final, desperate transmission to the Galactic Alliance. Earth is not what we thought. They were hiding, sleeping. Whatever we did, we woke something ancient. Their final words were static, but one phrase survived. We have made a mistake. The Galactic Alliance gathered quickly, trying to understand what had happened. Dozens of species, some old, some new, argued over whether to help the Zarn or to retreat and let the storm pass. But then, the storm came to them, not in the form of ships, not in the form of armies, but through the stars themselves. Stars in 3 systems dimmed unnaturally. Not exploded, not supernova, just dimmed, like something was feeding on their light. Thousands of probes were sent, none returned then. Suddenly, new stars appeared, artificial ones, black, cold, and moving. Not celestial bodies, but war machines, human-made. Ancient. Hungry. Back on Earth, in a small control chamber. A young technician named Rayan looked at the growing chaos with a mix of awe and fear. She turned to the commander beside her. I don't understand. We weren't supposed to have any of this. How is this even real? The commander, old and quiet, placed a hand on the metal wall of the chamber. It pulsed faintly, almost like it was breathing. This planet isn't what the stars think. It is, he said, and we aren't who we think we are. Rayan stared at the display as Earth's true fleet began to emerge, not from orbit, but from space itself. Hidden in folds of warped gravity, from tunnels in reality, ships that weren't made. They were grown, crafted by something beyond science. They had waited now. They had returned. One of the enemy species. The Relin sent a diplomatic request. It read, We misunderstood Earth's silence. We regret our involvement. Please allow us peace. The reply came instantly. Earth does not seek vengeance, but memory demands balance. Prepare to surrender fully or be reset. The Relin panicked. What did reset mean? They never found out. Because in under 12 hours, their entire civilization vanished. Planets still remained. Structures still stood, but all sentient life. Gone, not killed. Just gone. Reset, like they had never existed. The Galactic Alliance held an emergency meeting. A human ambassador arrived finally. He entered the Great Hall silently, flanked by no guards, no ships, no weapons. Just him. He walked calmly to the central podium, looked around, then spoke. You studied our weakness, but you forgot to study our history. The room was dead silent. The ambassador continued. We tried to forget. We tried to sleep. We tried peace. He paused, but you woke the old us. He held up a small sphere. It glowed red. Now we remember. The lights dimmed. A deep, ancient voice knot his echoed through the chamber. Judgment phase initiated.